All right. can't can't gotta I had to pick up my daughter. They grow up and then they go to parties and then you have to keep your phone on so you can pick them up. And so normally I would have all my dings, bells and whistles completely turned off. But I don't, because I was, waiting to hear what terrible thing that they got into, which they didn't, but parents and all this sort of stuff. So apologies if I think I've turned off all appropriate dings, I think. So I think I have got that. So with a bit of luck, we are all good. Excellent. Very good. Welcome, everybody. This is, of course, session 6 in the recipe. And like we do with every, we have done so far, next week's going to be slightly different, but what we've done so far is this is sort of like a question and answer session with a specific focus on what we did from the other weeks. By the way, if you are live, because this is going to be important, you might note in your chat window, if you want to ask a question, just literally just make sure, if you want everybody to see it, just choose, you can see down the bottom it's got 2, and because when I started the session it was set to all panelists, so I've changed it to panelists and attendees, and that way everybody sends it. Or if you just want to send me something direct, you can just say to panelists. So just a little tip for using Zoom there. So let's just do a quick summary, and then let's get into some, and of course the other reason we do these sessions is that we create tickets together. So it's a chance and opportunity for you to refine your ticket creation as part of our recipe, getting those ingredients right and making sure we describe blanching the cabbage in the appropriate way so that you will absolutely understand it. So if we have a look back at our session 5 with a quick summary of what we did with session 5, we talked about the importance of traffic, right? Traffic was the key element of what we were looking at session 5, and we looked at all the important things that traffic and how important all the, whether it's leads or building a list, building a relationship, selling products, right? Traffic, if people can't see your stuff, they're certainly not going to buy it. You can have the best offer on the planet, but if you can't get traffic to it, nothing's going to happen, which is why traffic is always our focus straight after market. And indeed, the reason that we want traffic initially, even in the very first section of the recipe, which is the market, of course, is will they talk to us, right? There's just no point, right? There's absolutely 0 point, right? If if you can't crack eggs, then there's no way you're going to make a cake, right? If you don't have access to eggs, then you need to make an eggless cake. But if your recipe requires a cake and it requires eggs and you can't get eggs, you can't make that recipe if it's a key component of that. So that's a really crucial thing. So the very first thing that we need to find out is, will they talk to us? Literally talk to us, right? And now somebody mentioned through the week, well, is talk to us, is that literally talk to us, just like I'm doing to you right now? Or what does that mean? And it could mean any sort of thing, but are they responsive to your questions and communications in any way, shape or form? That is the key to it. So we looked at specifically, will they talk to us? We looked at the different types of traffic that we could utilize. We've got joint venture traffic, we've got email traffic, content marketing, paid, and we went through all of the different pros and cons. And if you haven't seen session 5, people have been asking. I will be sending out tomorrow US time. I'll be sending out a archive email. So it'll have all the sessions, all the notes, all of the replays, etc. So you'll have all of those, so you can look back at any session, let alone session 5. But when we've got a specific part of the recipe in mind, which is will they talk to us, then we looked at the various types of traffic: JVs, email, content marketing, and paid. And we also talked about the concept of experiments, whether they were fast, cheap, and safe. So after all of that, we figured out, okay, paid is the way to go early on because it's in an experiment concept. It's fast, right? That you can turn on paid traffic almost instantaneously. It's cheap, all pretty much in the 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you couldn't say it's cheap. And Facebook, for all of its stresses, which got nothing to do with marketing, by the way. As a marketing thing, it's awesome. As an actual tool itself and its impact on our society, I've got other issues. But as a marketer, I love it. And as a marketer, the fact that they came into the market meant that, at one point in time, there about 4 years ago, you needed to spend $200 to get any sort of paid traffic marketing test. These days, you can spend $5, right? And in fact, it's even if you could spend $200, you'd be crazy, and you only need to spend $5 to get a marketing test going. Sort of a coffee a day is basically what you need for traffic tests, which is great. So we needed to go through this. We sort of created this table of figuring out, okay, well, where are you with traffic? Because again, a core part of the recipe, a core part of designing this, and this is the customization part for you, is, okay, so when I made my $10,000 in 30 days, or more importantly, 68 tickets, the key thing that I did there was I used Instagram. Now, if I was doing market research, would have I used Instagram? Absolutely not. If I had my choice of creating a business and the business model to make $10,000, you've got to remember that was all voted on. I was thrust upon Instagram. I hadn't done any sort of marketing at all on Instagram. So I'd used it, right? So I used it as a good old general normal user, but I never used it from a marketing perspective. So 68, of my tickets, 10 to 15 of those were just understanding Instagram and figuring out the marketing and figuring out all the points that I would need to figure out to be able to figure out, will the market talk to me? So this is a really important point, because if there's two concepts in the recipe, there's one is the metaphor between cooking and building a business, because there are so many parallels. The second one is the Japanese concept of ikigai, right? And that is, your reason for being. And one of the things that gives you reason for being is working with your strengths, enjoying working with your things, so you're not struggling as much. So there's stretch, which is great. Struggle is poor and bad. And if you look at the reason why over the years, many hundreds of thousands of people didn't successfully complete the challenge, right, is where the struggle just got too much. They were just beyond, they felt they were getting behind, they felt they were getting overwhelmed. So doesn't it make sense that we choose our traffic sources from strengths? Okay, enough of me lecturing and talking. It's time for you to work. All right, so if you're watching this live, of course, do these exercises live. If you're watching this on the video, grab a pen and paper and do it as though you were here live. They're all timed exercises. Okay, so and just if you are here live, if you could just make sure you have in the chat window the 2 set to all panelists and attendees. That would be very useful, unless you just want to send me a message directly. All right. So here is our activity. Our first activity is, let's figure out what your strength is for your traffic source for figuring out, will your market talk to you? Okay, so will your market talk to you? Okay, so the first question that we're going to ask is, where have you had a successful result? And you can just literally write yes or no, right? Have you had a successful advertising result? And what I mean by that is that, like, if you were creating a traffic for an opt-in page, you got opt-ins. If you were creating traffic to sell stuff, you would and you sold stuff, then that's successful, right? And it should be. Jochen asked a great question. In the last 2 years, I think yes. I think if it was 6 years ago or 7 years ago, too much has changed. Okay, and if you've answered yes, what I would love you to put in the chat session, only if you've answered yes, is what platform is it? Is it YouTube? Is it Google? Is it Instagram? Okay, because I think that'd be useful, people. Facebook, eBay, Google, print. Oh, there you go. AdWords and Facebook. Cool. Okay, great. So those of you who've answered yes, well done. You're done. You're done. Mailing list, says David. That's another good one. But it's not a paid traffic source. Because I'm trying to identify strengths. All right, so paid traffic source. All right, so good. So those of you who've answered yes, well done. Observe, and you can potentially help out our other people who are here live. Okay. Oh, and by the way, actually, we'll do that at the end of the session. Got some cool stuff. Okay. So the next question is, so those of you who said yes, well done. All you have to do is decide, if you answered two, which one is you were strongest in, and that's going to be what you're going to use. That's what you're going to use to create tickets. Okay, next is people who answered no. Have you run any ads in the last 2 years at all on any platform? So you've run an ad, which means that you didn't try to run an ad and you got lost and confused and all of that sort of thing, but you have run an ad of some description, but it may not have produced a result. Okay. So, and if it is yes, could you put your platform in? We can kill two birds with one stone. Thanks, Craig. Yes, AdWords. Cool. Facebook. Yes, Tad. Didn't you already answer, Sharon? You should be sitting out. Oh, Diego's tried quite a few. Facebook. Excellent. Okay. So if you have answered in that question, then the guess what? If you answered yes and you've got your platform, congratulations. You've got your platform, which we're going to create tickets for. Well done. You can have a little rest yourselves. Okay. For those of you who are still in the know, see what I did there? Okay. Of these traffic sources, of your core paid traffic sources, what do you use the most as a consumer? What do you use? Do you use Twitter? Do you use Facebook? Do you use what do you use the most of these traffic sources, right, that you're most familiar with? Google, Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google, Instagram, Facebook. Awesome. Not Chris, not considering not considering what do you use the most. Like if you go to your screen time app on your phone, right, this is not what you're considering. I want to know which platform, as of today, you are most familiar with, you use the most. For me, for example, is Twitter. In fact, it's Twitter so much that I have to restrict myself to 15 minutes a day unless unless I'm doing actual advertising and work on it. Online forums. Cool. Great. Congratulations. Guess what? Now, for those of you who are picked two, like Anita there, has got Google and YouTube, you need to pick one of those. All right, so you need to pick, and the way to pick is you've already got we've already way back picked our market. So where does what does your market use the most? Does it use Google or does it use YouTube? All right, congratulations. Is there, there shouldn't be, but is there anybody left who is still not got their traffic source selected for our ticket creation? There should be, I'm pretty sure if I've done my clever work here enough. Good, great. You've all got your ticket creation. We've all got our platform for figuring out how to put together our traffic, which is fantastic. All right, if you have a question at any time, all right, if you have a question, please in the chat window, just put a, I'll just write it on here. Just put a Q and a colon if you've got any questions. Right, I can't do email support for this course, so it's these sessions are your chance to ask questions. All right, so if you've got a question, feel free to answer it at any point. I'll feel free to answer it at any point. All right, cool. Do you think you can do AdWords for $5 a day? As an initial test, as initial testing, yes, but it's more expensive than, say, Facebook, no question, or YouTube for that matter. So you can start with that. But personally, and this is just a personal thing, because when we're looking, this is just a quick little digression here. Can I, just do that. So many markets are in the likes and interest category. And then there are behaviors. And finally up here is demographics. So when you're targeting, it is much easier to create ads when you are targeting likes and interests. That's the easiest. Then behaviors is the middle from a targeting perspective. And then demographics is the hardest. So demographics like, I'm just going to target all males over the age of 50 or whatever. It's very hard to create advertising for that. Whereas if I create advertising for people who like Lord of the Rings, it's much easier to get their attention, right? I can say, hey, do you like Lord of the Rings? That's great. But hey, you a male over 50? Yeah, so what? A bit depressed about it. No, right. What does that work? What does that make how does that make how does that make any sense? Likewise, a behavior, like if they, have a particular symptom. Do you suffer headaches? Do you suffer Do you do these type of things? You know, are you worried about X situation? Those sorts of things, which are not likes and interests. That you can make an ad better than that, but it's still too generic. Are you worried about blah blah blah? Right? That those sort of behavior type ads are better, but likes and interests are the easiest to do. So I'm a big fan of that. So I'm a big fan of platforms where it's very easy to target for likes and interests. So if I was choosing between, say, Google and YouTube, I would pick YouTube because it's much easier to target likes and interests. And as a consequence, it's actually much cheaper to use. So I would do that. Do you use specific tracking tools for your campaigns, or just use the platform data to optimize? When I'm starting out, just the platform data. Jochen, I gave examples of behaviors. Is Facebook still the cheapest option to test with? Facebook, YouTube, Instagram are all cheap. I've run on Facebook and no groups, but in researching have found that the most activity is in forums. Will I create tickets to learn how to interact in the forums? No, because we're talking about paid advertising. What you would create tickets for is how to advertise on those forums, right? Which is because most people barrel into forums and say, hey, I want to interview you, or hey, what are your big problems? And they find themselves out on their butt in the street, locked out of that forum forever, right? Because they just barrel out. But if you go to the forum owner and say, hey, can I buy a banner ad? Right, often those ads are dirt cheap, and you can get people to take a survey from those ads, or you can say you're doing a research project and do a sponsored post. So you pay them to put in a sponsored post, which will actually be featured, and it'll be and often forum people are the most interactive at all. But we're getting into a lot of logistics here, right? You're getting into a lot of logistics, whereas we need a recipe, right? We need a recipe. So let's keep going. Feel free to keep asking questions. Okay. So now you have a platform of sorts. Okay. So what's our end goal with, will they talk to us? Okay. Will they talk to us is the question that we have. So if we're creating our ticket, now, what would be the very first step of figuring out what to do written in ticket form, depending on where you're at, right? So I just want you to have a go. I'm going to give you 2 minutes just to write out and create your very first ticket. What's the very first action you're going to have to do for because ultimately we're going to need to put a message in front of somebody, right? Our goal here is we need to put a message, put a message in front of somebody. Notice I'm not talking about specifics. I'm not talking about methods. I'm not talking about anything, because all of that is 100% irrelevant right now, right? Right now, the only thing that we need to figure out is how to put a message in front of someone, right? So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I'm just going to answer Fernanda's question here, and then we can create a ticket. Ed, does an opt-in positive answer to will they talk to me? Absolutely not. but you're getting ahead of yourself, right? All we're doing right now is we need to figure out how to put a message in front of somebody. I haven't talked about the content of the message. I haven't talked about anything. You just need to figure out how to get a message in front of somebody, right? And in most platforms, a message, what's the definition of a message? It's some form of content where people who are interested will click on. Okay, so you have 2 minutes, all right? 2 minutes to create what is your very first ticket here in the Will They Talk to Us, right? What's the very first ticket? Have a crack. Okay, set a timer for 2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes and counting.
Diego, you're getting too far ahead of yourself. Focus on what is your very first. You're many hours away from that question. Focus. Be here now. If there was a third key element of the recipe, is to focus on just the thing in front of you. Focus on just the thing in front of you. And remember, you've all got different experience levels. The people who asked, yes, I've successfully run ads before, their first ticket will look very different from the people who had never learned or had never created an ad in any platform. Okay, you have 1 minute. And I can see some girly swats already putting their ticket up, which is great. If one thing that would be awesome, if you could you put a T and a colon in front of your answer when you are finished, so I can see them a little bit better. T and a colon. It'll also help when people go back. Okay, awesome. So pop those in the chat, your first ticket, and let's go through and let's do some ticket nightmares. So let's go through here, and Val was very quick off the mark. Use AdWords keyword tool to find keywords I can target. Not bad, not bad. And Val's obviously more experienced. Great. Okay, 2 things. How long does it take you, Val, to search for keywords? Like if it was me, I would put a limit of 1 CFT, 150-minute period. CFT, of course, is critical focus time, and the length of our tickets, as we learnt way back in sessions 3 and 4, is 50 minutes. Right, our tickets are 50 minutes long. So, if use AdWords keywords tool to find keywords I can target, as long as you can do that, Val, in 50 minutes, that's a good ticket. You can leave it as is. But if you need more than 50 minutes to do that, then you need to, I suppose, say, spend 50 minutes, right? Give yourself a time box, okay? So you can set it to a timer. So that'll depend on your experience level a little bit. Diego says, create a new Google AdWords account. Okay, so that's if you're going to advertise on Google, that makes sense. So again, I would time box it. Do you need to learn how to do that? Are you comfortable with signing up to things? Some people have challenges with signing up to things, like more complex sign up procedures. So if you have problems with that, maybe your first ticket has to be look for tutorial, right? Showing you how to properly sign up to Google AdWords, right? Because can you make mistakes signing up to Google AdWords? Right? I don't know. I signed up many years ago. But here's the thing: if you haven't ever signed up, or if you found yourself gotten tricked up by signing up to things in the past, I'll give you a classic example. Right there. In the past, not so much today, but in the past, the region that you signed up in was really important. Like you wanted to sign up in for US Google AdWords account, not your own local country, because typically the clicks were literally legitimately cheaper, right, from the US. Right, so the minimum click that you could sign up was cheaper. Now it's not the case so much today, but that just gives you an example. Right, there's complexities there. So maybe, Diego, you need to look at potentially refining that and and spending 50 minutes figuring out, okay, what do I need to have in place before I sign up for my Google AdWords account? That might be something, but you may be super like for me, if I was signing up to a new thing, I would just put, sign up to blah. That would be an absolutely appropriate ticket, because I'm pretty confident in my ability. I am not intimidated by any sign up process. I can handle it. I have the chops to do it. I'm a master chef, right? So that does not intimidate me at all. But for somebody, depending on you've never advertised before. I think I remember, Diego, you've never ever advertised anything. So, you've got to be careful. Okay, let's keep going. Sam was one of the girly swats who got in early too. Spend 50 minutes researching market pains, gains, and jobs to be done in relevant forums. Create 10 quick cards of each. Really? That's the first thing that you would do as part of a traffic campaign? Interesting. That to me strikes me as trying to solve something down the track. We were asking about what's the first ticket you need to do to put a message in front of somebody. So I would rethink that one, Sam. Define what a successful ad on Facebook looks like. Google search for 50 minutes. That's a good use of 50 minutes. Linda, find YouTube tutorials on how to create an ad on Facebook. Okay, let's tweak that one, right? Not bad, but it can be much better. We need to make sure they are relevant, because often the most popular video will be a video that's 2 or 3 years old. And let's face it, with Facebook, if it's more than a month old, it's a problem. So you need to do that search, but you also need to understand how to do an advanced filter search in YouTube to get the most recent videos up. Okay, so find recent tutorials using the recency filter to create on, sorry, I'm reading too many now. Yep. So yes, on YouTube tutorials on how to create an ad on Facebook. Okay. YouTube's great. I'm loving YouTube, and they're for research now. And I actually did this as a little Instagram, and it's probably my most popular Instagram post I've done in the whole process since I've been doing it. And that was you can speed up all YouTube videos now on every platform, which is amazing. And more importantly, on some platforms, you can access the transcript, so you can get to the meat and potatoes very quickly and then click in to watch it, instead of seeing the "Hi fam, here's what my day is, here's where we're going, here's what we're doing, blah, 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 blah." So there's some real power user moves that you can use. Okay, let's have a look. Keep going. Alex says, his is, Google, does Instagram do paid ads in 25 minutes? Yeah, and what types? That's great usage of your time, Alex. Starting out from scratch, fantastic. Okay, Sharon has, figure out where my audience is. Best keywords or top influencers for my topic on that platform. Okay, Sharon, I need you to write that in the form of a ticket. How would you write that in a ticket? That's a description, not a ticket, right? What does done look like? And what specifically are you going to do in the 50 minutes? Okay, Anita says, Google how to set up YouTube ad. Okay, Anita, what would you change based on what I've said already to tighten up that ticket? Have another go, please. Jochen, research a course in Google to successfully advertise in YouTube for 50 minutes. I like it, Jochen. Nice. So you would, we did a page on that. So you've actually got some guides as to, my favorite places, YouTube, Udemy, lynda.com. And again, the other thing that, the other power tip there is recent. I would research recent courses in Google to successfully advertise on YouTube. Nice. Anita, Google. Oh, that's right. I asked you to ticket. What does our goal look like? That's you need to rewrite that ticket. What does our goal look like? That goal of what? Right? What does goal look like? Where are you going to figure that out? What are you actually looking for? What goal? That's, if you were to hand that ticket to somebody else, there's no way that they could do it, right? It doesn't look, that is not a good ticket. So let's have another crack at that, John. Google, how do I generate eyeballs in Instagram to see my product? To see my product. I love the fact that you're using eyeballs. You're being trendy and hipster. That's fantastic. But the word is traffic. But as long as you know what you mean, that's fine too. I'm a big fan. I write funny tickets. I make little jokes with myself. I have no problem with that. As long as ultimately, as long as you know what the ticket means, that's the most important part. But if I can tell you how to refine them, I will. Let's have a look. Keep going down here. Go to Google YouTube advertising account help page. I like that, Eugene. I would actually refine that to go to if you're going to use YouTube as your advertising thing, go to the YouTube advertising tutorials. They're brilliant, right? Facebook have got amazing tutorials as well. One stop. I'd love it, Eugene. And the reason I'm reading out these tickets and we're providing these tickets in the transcripts is, guess what? You can steal from everybody, right? In the most loving and helpful way. That's what a recipe is all about. Oh, really? You use allspice in your scones? Cool. I'm going to try that. That sounds like a great idea. So we can swap recipe ideas. See how this works? Tickets are a really valuable piece of intellectual property. When you've got a really solidly written ticket, it means that you can hand it off to one of your fellow squad members. Yes, you're all joining the squad in January and February. So that's going to be very exciting to have you in the academy for a couple of months in 2019. Very exciting. And when you do that, one of the first ports of call, one of the first tickets you could actually write is ask squad mates for recommendations on blah, 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 right? Because there are plenty of people who've experienced it, which is awesome. Okay, let's keep going. And if I haven't got to your ticket yet, but you think I'm going to tear it apart, right, you can have another crack. Spend 50 minutes creating a post in the Facebook group linking to a deep dive survey. Brian, this is about paid traffic, not a Facebook group. And how well does that go? Right? No, that's not you need to do a paid ad. And by the way, like you might be thinking, well, I'm Ed, it's all fine, well and good, but I don't have a $5 a day budget for advertising. Great. Neither did I when I started out my $10,000 effort. Guess what? Well, the thing that they'd voted to me said I would sell some consulting. Now, I could have easily done that to raise some money and do that, but that wasn't a fair test, in my opinion. So I had to raise some money because I had none, right? I'd metaphorically gone bankrupt, right? So I had no money. So what did I do? I sold a guitar amp. In fact, I sold 2 and raised $1,000. So I had $1,000 of ad capital sit there ready to go. You sell some stuff, set up on Uber and drive. I think with a bit of luck, you're making $15 an hour after expenses, right? That's 3 days of 3 days of advertising. Do some copy work for somebody on Fiverr. Take some Fiverr gigs. Each Fiverr gig is worth a day's worth of advertising. This is if you're going to do it, right? Because here's the thing: if building up, again, let's go to strengths. Why am I so focused on paid advertising? Because I want you to do this quickly. To get traffic out of a Facebook group is a long-term play. It's a great play. Make no mistake. I love it, but it's a content play. And what did we say about content plays? Content plays are long-term processes. They are the true farm processes. You plant seeds in the autumn and you harvest in the spring, right? Not good for quick tests to determine whether our market will talk to us or not. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay. Oh, David's had another crack. Google how to advertise on Twitter. Also look on Twitter for advertising FAQ. Spend 50 minutes doing this. Fantastic. By the way, Twitter, totally underused platform for advertising. It's super cheap and very effective. So I love it. And again, it's going to your strength. You're familiar with that platform already. Use AdWords keyword tool to find keywords and target. Fantastic. Google learn how to create a Facebook ad for 20 minutes, or you could just go to the Facebook tutorials and follow along there. John said, how do I create a Facebook ad? No good, John. Back to the drawing board. Where are you going to search? How long are you going to search for? Where are you going to go to figure that out? You could, what people have said, Google, people have said traffic, etc., etc. Mark Burns, set up account in chosen ad platform. You've chosen a platform, right? Don't weasel out on the ticket. Set up account in X. What is it? Facebook, YouTube. Be specific. What does done look like? Once you're all super successful and you're all building a team, you're going to need to hand off tickets using in Scrum methodology to other people. And they need to be able to understand exactly what you want done and how long they have to do it. Okay, so keep in mind that let's get good kitchen practices. Let's learn to dice our vegetables correctly now, so that when we are able to bring on our own apprentice chefs to help us out in the kitchen, right, we can show them how to do it properly. We don't develop bad habits which will bite us in the butt later on. Okay, let's go through here. Good on you, Val. You said the 50 minutes would do it. That's fantastic. 50 minutes research, how to design, place Facebook ad. Again, that's a that's a lot of that's a lot to research in 50 minutes. So maybe think about refining that based on what you've heard, Kelly. Bill, what type of ad is most likely to reach my Facebook audience? Fantastic. So figure out, you could, there may be an article about, how to reach. In fact, when I was doing my Instagram research, there were specific articles on how to target fitness professionals and how to target travelers and stuff like that. So, which was great. But again, time boxed it. Well done. That's very important, because if it turns out to be you hit a complete blank on that, then, you've spent 50 minutes and you can reassess. Use Facebook Insight to know more about my market on Facebook. What are you missing there, Fernanda? What are you missing in that ticket? Scan through forums in target area to see membership previous questions in order to formulate a headline. Okay. So you're a little bit more advanced. That's fine. As you've time boxed it. Good ticket. Google how to safely get a message to Twitter followers. You're looking to advertise. Let's not be too funny here, right? We're advertising, right? What does safely? See, the reason I balked at safely, it's a high level word. It's not specific enough. Specific enough. Can't get my words out. It's not specific enough. So what I would be looking at doing is Google things to watch out for when advertising on Twitter, or Twitter mistakes, right? Twitter advertising mistakes. I guarantee you there'll be some great content on all of that you can have a look at. So your thinking's nice, but let's get some clarity, right? If you're handing that off to an apprentice chef yourself, right, they go, what's safely mean? And then chop up their fingers while trying to attempt to dice carrots. We don't want blood in the kitchen. Unless you're cooking a dish that relies on blood as an ingredient. Mark has a great little story for everybody. Example of not blindly doing ads without researching it first. I was banned from AdWords because of direct to affiliate linking. I didn't get banned until I tried to sign up for AdSense. They connected the accounts and boom, banned on both 6 years ago. Very good. Yeah. If you haven't done any advertising before, you need to be there. Use similar ticket here. Use similar web for similar companies and find what paid advertising keywords generate traffic. Nice. Craig's been around the block. He knows a cool tool, right? Love it. 50-minute time block, detailed. You could hand that off to an apprentice chef and they know what to do. Love it. Nice ticket, Craig. 2 points for Gryffindor. Sharon, spend 50 minutes. Good. Spend 50 minutes looking for top influencers in my topic on Facebook. Nice. Not sure how that helps with, well, it does help. Influencers does help in terms of targeting for Facebook ads. So that's a big thing. And if that's your level of knowledge, that's a great ticket. You know, somebody mentioned above using Facebook Insight tools, right? There are tools that Facebook create which will help you to identify influencers a lot more quickly. So, you know, that again, classic Facebook, classic squad insights there that you be able to use. Diego asked a question here. How much would be a minimum budget for testing? $5 a day. That's what you need to budget. $5 a day. Cup of coffee a day. And like I said, if that's going to be even $5 a day is going to be a stretch for you, right? You need to start driving Uber. You need to sell some gear that's lying about the house and you don't need to use anymore. You need to jump on Fiverr and do some, you know, keyword gigs, paid to train, right? There's a whole bunch of things that you can do because each week, if your budget is $5 a day, that's 7 times 5, which I'm really, really hoping is $35. So if you're driving Uber, that is $35, 15, you know, that's, let's say you have 4 shifts, that's 4 hours of Uber driving to give you your ad budget. So you're going to need to do that. And hey, while you're driving around, listen to podcasts, listen to training material. It's a great, I know many people who were driving Ubers while starting up their business, or raising some extra cash, or just sell, you know, if you've got something lying around the house, sell it. Or take a part-time job. Spend 50, here's some things. Search Google to find out how to do a Facebook ad, 50 minutes. Nice. Use Facebook Insight to know more about my market's interests for 50 minutes. Love that too. Doing that too started a couple of weeks ago with Lyft, 5 rides a day. Yeah, it's service economy, you know, is fantastic for being able to set your own hours and do stuff, you know, and, you know, we're not doing it forever. We're doing it to put together and that's the thing, right? You can do it up to the point where you need to do the money. It's a great way of doing things. You know, if you're going to work, you know, you can work doing something where you can, like listen to podcasts and do all that sort of thing. Well done, folks. Great. Okay. All right. I want to stop right now and I want to ask you guys a question. Hang on. There we are. Okay. The question, right, is what's been your biggest insight from today's Ticket Nightmares so far? What have you learnt? I'll just give you a minute to type that in. Focus, focus, focus. Be here now is probably the third element of the recipe. The existence of Facebook Insight, about deciding, be specific. If a stranger can't do your ticket without any help, it's probably not a ticket. Critical focus, narrow it to a doable time. 50-minute blocks, absolute key. Likes and interest targeting and $5 a day budget campaigns. Make sure ticket is specific enough to pass on to the sous chef. Nice. Shortcut equals other people's tickets. Yes. And boy, am I about to make your day in just a couple of minutes. Keep it simple. Places to research. Tickets are easy. Keep a time constraint on single focus area. Don't overcomplicate it. Use strengths. Don't add learning time. Praise. That's exactly what I want you to figure out. Don't jump ahead and start at the beginning. Start at the beginning, break task up. Go with your strengths. More idea of what else I can do from other people's responses. Are you going to be excited in a minute, Carla? Use advanced filters and time box it. Plan to spend only $5 a day for initial test advertising. Spending any more is actually counterproductive in most markets, certainly on Facebook and Instagram. Practice being specific to craft my ticket. Nice. Very good. To that end, what's very exciting is we've got 2 lessons next week, and the 2 lessons next week, our goal will be to make sure you've got all your tickets ready for when we start in January, because guess what's happening in January, right? You may have forgotten in all the excitement and all the incredible value that you've already got. You're all joining the squad. You're all joining the squad for 2 months, January and February. And the beauty of the squad, and you've already highlighted it, right, is it's a place where people are we're going to be able to share recipes, right? We're going to be able to copy each other's recipes. I'm setting up a new section. We use Slack for the Academy, and you'll be able to look for recipes. You need to do a thing. We'll have PDFs and we'll have recipes for that, and we'll share each other's recipes, and then I can give notes and refine the recipes so that if you're looking for a particular task, you'll be able to go to the cookbook, because guess what? That's how beginner chefs start cooking. They use recipes, right? They get recipes. And what's great is in the Academy, you've got the equivalent to Mix My Metaphors. You've got black belts, you've got white belts, and you've got everything in between. And the ability for us to help each other out, hopefully in doing these sessions, because I obviously do training very differently. We work a lot in our workshops. You don't just sit back and absorb theory, because, well, I could have done a video and not have to get up so early if I would do that. So when you join the Academy, you're going to have all of that available to you for January and February, which is really super, super exciting. So you'll have access to recipes, we'll have access to tickets. But in next week's sessions, session 7 and 8, we're going a little bit off topic, because guess what? I want to make sure you have enough tickets for January. So that is going to be very important. And in fact, I'm just going to get you to do one quick little exercise before we go. Eugene asks a question, any specific resource on how to use Slack the way you use in the Academy? Yes, you'll get a video with the invite, which won't be coming out. Don't email me. You will not get the invite until January 1st. Okay. So I'm actually on holidays from Friday, and I won't be in the Academy until the new year. And I'm actually the only things I'm doing next week are a couple of ticket creation sessions for you guys. So that's literally the only thing I'm doing work-wise next week. Of course, if you're watching this video, this is all in the past, right? So here's the thing, right? We're going to create. We need to have enough tickets. So now, what we need to think. I just want you to just right now. I just off the top of your head, okay? Think about 50-minute sessions for a second, and think about your January. Are you, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, are you going on holidays? Are you spending time with the family? Or if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, do you have plenty of time because you snowed in? Or you've got, it's just back to work and it's a normal thing during January? Have a think about your January. I'm going to give you a minute to do this. And then I want you to think about a normal week, your normal average January week. Okay. So I want you to think about those two things. And then I want you to think about all the commitments you have: work, gym, fitness, taking kids everywhere. Are you going on holidays? For those of us in the Southern Hemisphere, January is a key holiday time. What are your commitments, right? I want you to think about that. Think hard, right? Then I want you to look at your average week and think, and we call it in the Academy, we call our project that we are working on, right? The business we are building, our Academy project. Okay, so that's a bit of terminology that you'll get. And by the way, you'll get an induction video to the Academy as well, right? So you'll get both of those things. So you start to understand how the Academy works. But what I want you to think about is, okay, well, how many of these 50-minute sessions am I going to do, right? I just want you to just gut feel what you think, okay? So I'm going to give you, but I want you to think about it. Really think about it. Think about, well, what am I doing? Think about all those things and think about a typical week. And maybe you are doing some extra work for other people so you can build up your ad budget, right? That might be something that you're doing as well. So you've got a minute. And then at the end of the minute, I want you to type in how many 50-minute sessions do you think you can do in a normal week? Per week, that is, per week. Okay, they're starting to stream in 4, 5, 10, 7, 10, 10, 4, 9, 20, 15, 12, 2 to 4, 12, 10, 5. Right, great. Fantastic. Right. So that's that's a thing. For those of you who have got 10 or over, that may be ambitious. If you're full time, if you can do this full time, that's fine. That's totally fine. And certainly if you're looking at 15 or over, that in the Academy, and you'll get used to this, that's what we call a sprint, right? And you cannot keep that. You can't keep a 15 ticket pace up for more than a week or two, right? Before you completely flame out, right? Because tickets aren't this, right? Tickets are using real intellectual energy. It's actually building your business. But that's good. 12, 5, 3, 4, 5, work from home. Very convenient. I can do at least 15. Great. Okay, well, let's see how we go. That's fantastic. Because here's the thing, right? What we need to figure out is, and what we want to do next week, I want to make sure you've got at least a week or two worth of tickets, right? We've got a week or two of your recipe to start with come January 1, and that you're very certain, because what you can do over the holiday break is research tickets where you're a little bit uncertain about, right? So that's what we're going to do next week. We're going to make sure that, because for those of you who say have got 4 tickets, very reasonable amount for people who have got full-time jobs and lots of commitments. 4 is a very good amount. So we, during January, we know that we're going to get 16 tickets done of our 68 tickets, right? So if you've got those 16 tickets done, then you can work hard, nose to the grindstone, putting out and knocking out those 16 tickets. Alex asks a question. Do we need to create all our tickets for market and traffic? Well, again, Alex, you only need to, I can't remember how many tickets you had in your particular column, or how many CFTs, I should say, how many 50-minute sessions. But, I would think for most people, they will, if you're averaging 5 to 6 tickets, then I think, marketing and traffic is probably a really reasonable target for all of January. Again, remember, the whole inspiration for the recipe is realizing that we need to be ticket-based, not month-based, not even week-based, but ticket-based. But we do need to be realistic about how many tickets we can do in a week, and that will determine. So the thing that will determine what are all your tickets created in will determine how many tickets you need and then can work on in a particular week. And if you've created enough tickets, so if you're doing 4 a week, then if you've created 8 tickets, well, that's 8 to 10 tickets maybe, then that's more than enough tickets for your first 2 weeks. And again, we'll talk about, because expectation is everything, which we're going to talk about in our next session. All right, thanks very much, everybody. Brilliant. Great session, if I do say so myself. And look out for the email on... Oh, Alex asked a great question. Did you create all 68 tickets before you started? Absolutely no. I only created, because I knew I was doing a sprint, I created 20 tickets because I knew I was going to do 20 tickets. There's no point creating more tickets than you need to start. I often come up with new tickets while you're working. Yes, you will. And that's cool too. All right. Good on you, Deb. Thank you very much. All right. Fantastic. We will look out from an email from me with the archive, with the registration times for next week. Times will be a bit different. And get ready to work because we're going to build your tickets for the first couple of weeks of January. So you can be thinking about them over the holiday break. All right. See you soon.